Here's some help on graphing exponentials. And so when we're graphing an exponential, we want to look at whatever that parent function is. And so for us, let's just look at 4 to the x in this case, 4 to the x. Now, when you're graphing, you try to graph that parent function first and then do your transformations. So focusing on 4 to the x, there are 3 values that I want to look at. The first one is just an important point of the exponential is 0, because anything raised to the 0 power is 1, right? 4 to the 0 equals 1. Then the next point I'm going to pick is just 1 to the right. So 4 to the first power is going to be 4. And then 4 to the negative 1, that is just the reciprocal, so it's 1/4. So that just kind of gives us a starting point for our graph. So I'm graphing the 4 to the x here in purple. So that first point is 0, 1, which goes here. So I'll call that like our important point there. Then we have 1, 4, 1, 4. And then so that is 1 up 4. And then we have the 1/4 down here. Okay. And so that's the 4 to the x. Let's graph to the 4 to the x. The asymptote for this graph would be at the y equals x here, at the y equals 0. It's at the x-axis. So when we're looking at this graph, this is the one we're trying to graph. We notice that it shifted to the right 2. So negative 2 means it goes to the right 2. If you think about it, what makes it 0? If I plug in 2, 4 to the 2 minus 2, that's 4 to the 0, which is 1. So thinking about that, if I plug in a positive 2, I will get a 1. So notice that all that does is it shifts the important point here right 2. Okay, so I'm going to put that here on this side. And so really what we could do is just use transformations in order to find the rest of the points. So you don't need to plug into this function here. Just use transformations, graph the parent, and then shift everything according to the move. And so I'm just going to take this next point here and move it right 2. And then I'll take my next point and move that also right 2, which will be right here. The asymptote doesn't change, and so it just stays the same. And we have this graph here. Now let's take a look at something like 4x plus 3. So all that's going to do is that's going to move our purple graph, this main one, up 3 units. So we're just going to take the same y-axis. We're going to move it up 3 units here. And then all we're going to do is going to take that purple graph and move it up 3 every single point. Okay, so you don't need to plug things in, just use transformations. So 1, 2, 3 would be here. Take this point, move it up 1, 2, 3, and it would be there. And the same for the other point as well. Okay, so to kind of help you out with graphing exponentials. Now let's do letter C. That one's a little more complicated because there's a lot more transformations going on there. So I'm going to just erase everything. Okay, so negative x, 4 to the negative x, that tells me it's a reflection in the y-axis. Reflection in the y-axis, and this is also down 3. Okay, and you should read it from left to right. So reflection in the y-axis and then down 3. So I'm going to graph that 4 to the x again. So I'm going to bring that back. Okay, so 0, 1, 1, 4, and then a 4th here. So I'm going to leave the dots there. Now what I want to do is I'm going to do my reflection in the y-axis first. Notice that this point, reflection in the y-axis, it does not move. Okay, so that's like our important point, and the reflection in the y-axis, that stays the same. But these other points will reflect. So this is going to be on the other side here, and this will be on the other side here. So let's just change that right now, right away. And so we're going to reflect each point across the y-axis. So here, and the other one is down here. So we're really looking at this curve. So that is our reflection in the y-axis. And then I want to move everything down 3. So that means I'm going to move my horizontal asymptote down 3 units here. And then I'm just going to take each of these points and move it down 1, 2, 3. And then that'll be my change there. So it's helpful. I mean, you could plug in values in order to graph, but it is nicer to just use your transformations as long as you get the parent function. Okay, the parent function is very helpful for you. So I hope this helps in graphing exponentials.